Okay, so this is the trip Operon currently, and right now it is in its unrepressed state, which means that it is currently producing the tryptophan that our body uses. And so what happens is right now, the repressor protein, it is unblocked, it's just its own thing, and then a small molecule of tryptophan, which will also be known as the co-repressor, will come and it'll hook up and it'll match up to that repressor protein, and then that repressor protein will then change into an active repressor, and then that will go and it will connect to the operator, and then it'll then be blocking the RNA polymerase from going through all of this and reaching the gene that it'll read to code for the tryptophan. So when it is unblocked and in its normal, more common state, the RNA polymerase will just be able to kind of come along here and read all the DNA. And then in the lac operon, what's happening is that it is currently in its repressed state, and there is lac, and then when it is like this, the lactose, which is the co-repressor, will come and it'll hook up to the repressor protein, and then it will all just kind of float away from the operator, and then the RNA polymerase will no longer be blocked, so it can come and it can travel along this and then read that gene and code for that. And so the trip operon produces tryptophan, while the lac operon will produce the energy because it takes in that sugar that comes in with the lactose, and then it breaks that down and turns it into energy. And the trip operon is more common in its non-repressed, like active state, because our body is constantly producing that tryptophan that our body needs. And then the lac operon is more common in the unrepressed state because we typically constantly have lactose in our body that's coming through and connecting to that repressed protein. And then for like the differences between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, the eukaryotic cells are typically larger, and they can either have a unicellular, or they're either unicellular or multicellular. And they have a nucleus, and they do have membrane-bound organelles, while the prokaryotics do not have that nucleus or membrane-bound organelles, and they are typically only unicellular, and they are typically very much smaller than the eukaryotic cells. And then because of this, the replication of DNA, it is sort of similar. It is a very similar process that they go through. However, their transcription and translation process is very different from each other. The eukaryotic transcription process, it occurs in the nucleus, while the translation process occurs in the cytoplasm, so they are isolated from each other and they are away from each other. They have no contact during that process, while in the prokaryotic cells, they typically overlap each other and they occur in the same place pretty much at the same time. For cell division, prokaryotic cells can do binary fission, and that is a form of asexual reproduction, and it just clones that DNA that they have in the cell. And then the gene regulation, the prokaryotic cells have the trip and lac operons that they use, and that's it.